In the last videos, I showed you how the whiteboard is a primary area for displaying content. In this video, I'll show you how Collaborate provides many ways to make content delivery more interactive. This overview of whiteboard tools will get you thinking about how you might better engage your audience. Let's start with polling tools. The polling tools allow you to weigh audience understandings as you deliver content. So, a simple question I might ask at the beginning of every session is, can you hear me? Let's look at how Amy would answer that. Amy, our participant, can go to the emoticons. She has a bunch of choices here. Smiley face seems appropriate, but so does approval. The point is there's a number of choices here. Your students are probably familiar with these, and as they use these more regularly in class, they can on the fly pick the right choice. Another selection I use frequently is just the simple hands up and hands down. Now if you notice, the hands up or hands down stays until you clear it, whereas the emoticon, it quickly flashes on and off. Larry, he says that he's okay, but Patty indicates here that she's having some problem. Patty indicates a problem that nobody else is having, so how do I have a private conversation without disrupting the flow of the presentation? Well, this gives me a chance to show you how the chat function might work. Now, if I send a message, hey Patty, what's wrong? This is going to show to all the participants, including Amy Apple, and I don't want that. So I can send a private chat message to Patty by clicking on her name and pulling down to send a private chat message. Now I can ask Patty privately what seems to be the problem. You can see that nobody else is getting this message except for Patty. Patty can respond to me privately. I went through the audio wizard, still no audio. And we can continue this conversation without disrupting the presentation. Now, if having these private conversations and delivering content and dealing with a number of students, maybe 20, 50, 100 students in the room seems difficult, it is. A suggestion, if you're doing this with a large group of students, you might want to have a co-moderator. The co-moderator works with the primary presenter in order to troubleshoot, to use these tools to help other students navigate the course and questions they have not only about the platform and technology, but they can also help moderate content questions. So let's clear these responses and get ready for our next question. We go to the options menu and pull down to lower all hands. And now we can ask another question. Let's look at some of our options. First, this option here gives feedback that I'm away from the session. I might do this early in a session if I ask people to arrive early, or in the middle of the session. It's a good thing to get your students to do that, to know when they're away so that you don't call on them. The raise hand option we went over before. Yes, no questions can be effective. Let me use this example. We'll go to this slide here and say I want to see if students understand the Pax Romano. So I simply ask them, does everybody understand this term? I pull out my highlighter tool for emphasis, and I ask people to answer the question in the poll. Let's see how that looks. Amy responds yes. As does the others. And now I can move on with my lecture. I'll end by showing you one more use of a Blackboard tool. Let's take that yes or no tool and let's use that a little bit differently. We'll move to this question. This slide is making the point that there were 3 stages to the decline of the Roman Empire. I want to turn that into a question, and a question with no one right answer. I want students to think about these 3 stages, to read them, and to weigh in which do you think was most important to the decline of the Roman Empire. Now, we can use a poll type question like the yes or no question before, but we've got 3 responses. So how do we make this into a poll where students can weigh in, and then later maybe you would have them justify their responses in some type of discussion? Let's show you how you would do that. First, I want to make one adjustment from the yes or no poll type. You'll remember that the responses were immediately visible when I asked the yes or no question. Here I don't want that. I want students to make their own judgment before they see what others see. So I want to uncheck that box. The next thing I want to do is change the type of question. Now, the polling type was yes or no, but I want it to be multiple choice. So, now with multiple choice, I don't even have to label these answers, A, B, or C. I just ask them verbally. I say, I just set a poll for you. Now, of these three, A, B, or C, which one do you think was most important to the decline of the Roman Empire? And Amy answers, well, I think it's A. She submitted her answer. I know her response, but the other students don't know what her response is. Larry has chosen B, and Amy can't see Larry's answer. Patty responds with C, and again, Amy can only see her answer. So the question is over, the poll is closed, and I want everybody in the group to know how everybody else answered. How do I do that? I go up to the Options button, and then I pull down to Publish Responses to Whiteboard. And here, I have all of the responses from the poll, including one none response because I didn't answer. Now to clear the poll, we simply hit the Clear button and we start again. And if I want to remove the poll answers from the slide, I hit Clear Page. And maybe we can have a discussion and then do the poll again after people have made their arguments. Let me conclude this video by having you step back for a moment and picture yourself in a live classroom where you're having students respond to information that you've presented to them. Really, a lot of the tools you've seen do some of the same things you would do in a live classroom. Raise your hand if you have a question. Answer, what do you think is most important? All the ways that you make a discussion out of presented information, you'll see that there are ways of doing it within the online environment. In some ways, there's advantages to doing this online. One advantage is that you have more control over responses. You don't have people interrupting each other, talking over each other. Another control you have in Blackboard is you can create these interactivities prior to giving your lecture. You can create a poll ahead of time. And not only can you create a poll, there's a way of creating the feedback that I showed you earlier so that you don't have to remember to do all these things on the fly. You can plan them into your presentation. Now, lecturing often involves understanding the pulse of the room, and a lot of that comes from visual feedback. In the absence of that, being able to plan interactivities from time to time and to show students what other students in the session are thinking, I think that's one of the real powers of Blackboard. In an upcoming video, I'll show you how to do this.